Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield. And to the window, to the window, to the wall, to the wall. Come on, Margo, you know the rest. You're not going to say it. Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margo D. Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend. I am sorry I let you down. You took me completely by surprise just now.
You did.
I know we're talking about this. I mean, we planned that.
I really thought you might want to jump in and talk about the sweat dripping off your balls. I'm a little surprised.
Oh, somehow I forgot that part.
How could you forget? This week, in honor of Betty White, R.I.P., National Treasure Betty White, we are dorking out about 2009's The Proposal. I'm really excited for this because I actually hadn't seen it since the theater, but of course, like everyone, I remember the scene where Sandra Bullock is dancing with Betty White and raps Get Low by Lil Jon. 2009's The Proposal. It stars Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds, Mary Steenburgen. She's awesome in everything.
Always great.
Always great. Craig T. Nelson in the Craig T. Nelson role. Oscar Nunez. Coach! Oscar Nunez, so funny as Ramon, the resident of the town who seems to hold every job. And then Betty White as Gammy.
Gammy.
She's so good. She's so good. Did you see this movie in the theater?
No, I know I didn't. I've never seen this movie until this weekend.
Really? First time watch?
I was a first time watch, so that's why I missed it. Sorry.
I saw it in the theater and I was like, I thought it was better than I thought it was going to be. It reminded me a lot of While You Were Sleeping, except the fiance's in on the thing.
Yeah, he's not in a coma.
Yeah, he's not in a coma this time. So it's very similar. I mean, the whole premise is Sandra Bullock is this like she works in publishing and apparently she's a real bitch. I think she's kind of dope. But the movie's like she's a bitch because she's super professional and cares about her job. So what an asshole. And Ryan Reynolds is her assistant. He's been her assistant for like 5 years or 3 years. And she finds out that she's going to be deported back to Canada. And since this is 2009, when remote work wasn't really a thing, thanks to the pandemic, she's going to lose her job. So they make a deal to get married so that she can get her green card and stay, and she will promote him. So it's that's the setup. And they're in on this together and they both have something to gain, but then they seem to be sabotaging each other at like every chance they get.
Yeah, she resents that she has to ask her assistant a proposal for marriage.
Yes.
And also, I have many questions about this movie. And it is like a Hallmark movie. This is a
Hallmark
movie.
It 100% is a Hallmark movie.
It's 3 days they're engaged? A lot happens in 3 days.
Yes. It's like over a weekend, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were there for like a week. I was very shocked.
Yes. What did you think about Sandra Bullock as like the bitchy boss? Did you think she was bitchy? Because I really didn't.
You know, it should be more like a magazine editor bitchy versus a book editor bitchy.
Right.
Because I've worked in both. And she's got great clothes. Like, they don't have that in publishing. I mean, she's very, very fancy for book publishing. Yeah, I mean, look, she fires a guy because he couldn't get his author on Oprah. And it's like, working in books and PR, everybody wants their author on Oprah. It's sort of like everyone who works in marketing is like, oh God, they must be so glad that show is over. But that was like the magical show. But that's the thing she can do right away. And he couldn't. And then we're supposed to hate him because she says he cheats on his wife and he doesn't really work. And she just did it with a phone call. And she doesn't seem to have any feelings for people. And they're all terrified of her.
Yeah, there's all these like the minute she's like coming, the instant messages start where it's like, it's here, refers to her as it's, or the witch is on her broom, all this stuff, which by the way is totally a thing. Like when I worked at the newspaper, all of a sudden the room would get super quiet and all you would hear is like click, 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 and it's everyone talking shit on their instant messenger. Like that's all.
About who?
About
the editor?
Yeah, about the the executive editor at the time because he was a huge asshole, and like he would come out and like yell, and everything would get quiet, and then all you hear is like tap 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 tap. Everyone's like, fuck him, he's a piece of shit, blah blah blah, because he's garbage. Anyway, I actually just, I don't know, she seemed like she was really good at her job. And
yeah, any guy that did what she did,
yeah,
people would be in the movie like, well, that's what, he's just doing his job.
Yeah,
he's professional. I mean, she's doing the thing where she's like, she has no dating life. Yes. And she has no friends apparently. Damn, she looks good in this movie.
Oh my God,
she be banging.
Sandra Bullock looks amazing, adorable. Everybody drink. She looks amazing.
She's smoking hot. Yeah. Like that, and that hair. Mm-hmm. You could do like a thesis on her shiny hair.
You could in almost all of her movies. She always has really good hair.
She really does.
Yeah. And what do you think about Ryan Reynolds in this movie?
Adorable. Everybody drink.
Yeah.
He's so cute.
He is one of those people that I remember watching the sitcom Two Guys, a Girl, in a Pizza Place. Mm-hmm. And he was like nobody at that point. I never seen him in anything else before I saw that. And I was like, he just stole that whole show. And I was like, that's someone who has like the it factor, like someone who is going to go beyond this silly sitcom that apparently I really liked because I kept watching it. But like,
yeah, you reference it a lot.
But he was really good in it. And
he was good in Dick. That's what I liked.
Oh my God, you're so funny in that movie, Dick. We did an episode on Dick. You can go back and listen to that. He's really, really good in this. He's just a naturally funny person.
Yes, he doesn't have to work too hard either.
Yeah, and she's like that too. So they have really good chemistry.
Yeah.
They both just, they're like built for romantic comedies. Both of them.
Yeah, supposedly Julia Roberts was supposed to do this movie.
I could
totally see that. Yeah, I could just totally, or Drew Barrymore. I mean, I think there's something with Sandra Bullock that everybody just likes her so much. Like, no one has a bad thing to say about her.
Yeah.
And I think that's just like her likability, even when she's playing a bitch, it totally shines through.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, maybe it has to do with my affection for Sandra Bullock that I was like, I don't think she's that big of a bitch.
Yeah. She's rather humorless, but okay.
Yeah, but then she warms up, and so she tells her bosses that her and Ryan Reynolds are getting married. They strike this deal, and they go to Alaska where his family lives to tell his family that they are going to be getting married. By the way, all of this, if it doesn't work, she would get deported and he would be committing a crime, which could result in like a fine and like 5 years in prison. So I'm like, is this really worth it? I'm like, probably not, but then there wouldn't be a movie. So whatever. Yeah. So he's going to get promoted if they're able to pull it off. They go to Alaska. It's coincidentally also Betty White's 90th birthday party that weekend. And that's why all these people are in town. And on the plane there, I thought this was actually a really good scene. He is going through like the booklet about applying for visas for her. And he says, like, I know everything about you. And he's been her assistant for years, but she knows nothing about him. I don't know. I just thought the scene was really well done. And it comes back up later when she starts telling him things that he doesn't know. Like he's sleeping on the ground and she's in the bed and she talks about DJ Rob Bass and
oh, I love that song.
Yeah, it's such a good song. It takes two to make things go right. Yeah, and she talks about like her tattoo and you know all these. It's a really sweet scene, and I think similar to While You Were Sleeping, there's some heart in this movie about family and how being loved by people can like, I don't know, make you softer. And
oh, it does make you softer.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's funny because you know it is While You Were Sleeping, except in that movie she was like the most lovable person on the planet.
I love that. We did an episode on that movie too. Please go back and listen to it where we just
gush.
Both of us we gush and we 100% believe the Sandra Bullock and Bill Pullman are really in love.
Yes. She's in love with Keanu Reeves.
And she's in love with Keanu Reeves, and I will accept no other substitutions.
Right.
Eventually, by the way, have you seen the interviews with Keanu Reeves where like someone's like, Sandra Bullock was on the show and she said that during speech she had a crush on you. And he's like, I had a crush on her. I didn't know.
They've been saying that for years.
And I was like, what?
He's playing the game. He's not stupid. He's kind of, they're both smart and savvy about their public reputations. Yeah. And they both keep their private lives really private. They're very smart about that.
That's true.
And yeah, so I think, because Winona Ryder says the same thing.
That she had a crush.
They were married. She said they were married, but it was like not really married, but it was on the set. And she thinks that that's their whole joke, is that they're really married because he never got married. So I know. Look, I would claim to be married to him too. He just passed me by if I rode an elevator with him, I'd be like, oh, we're married.
He would have no doubt how I felt about him if we worked together.
I would learn a lot about Ryan Reynolds, by the way. If he were my assistant, I wouldn't harass him, but damn, I would ask him lots of things because he's very cute and he's also smart and funny and he's with it and he's on top of it. I mean, there's just a lot to like there.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. And so when she gets to Alaska, it's kind of when she discovers that his family's like the Alaskan Kennedys is what she calls them. They own like every business in town. They're totally rich. And he says, or she says, I didn't know you were rich, and then he says, well, my parents are rich. I'm not rich. And she's like, that's what rich kids say. She calls him out on it. She's someone who her parents died when she was 16. She's had to work for everything.
In Canada,
no less. But she's definitely out of her element in Alaska. We get a lot of that fish out of water comedy where she's like, I don't know how to swim and I'm not comfortable on a boat or in the wilderness, or
I can't walk down the ladder because I'm wearing a tight dress and high heels. Even I'm going to Alaska. That makes a world of sense.
Yeah. Or, she packs like her sexy pajamas,
right.
And he even says like, that's what you packed, what were you thinking? But I think the scene is really funny where she's trying to talk on the phone and the eagle comes and takes the dog.
I love that scene because she's rescuing the dog and then she's like the eagle takes her phone.
Yeah.
So then she's like offering the dog up as a sacrifice, like take the dog, and they all think she's playing with the dog now. They're like, oh, isn't she cute?
She's so cute. She loves the dog.
She's just running around playing with the dog.
The dog's name is Kevin, by the way, which
is
always makes me laugh when people name their dogs like, this is my dog Steve. Like, it makes me laugh every time. But that scene, it made me laugh out loud again, where first of all, the effect of the eagle carrying the dog made me laugh. that it switches and takes her phone and she's like, no, take the dog. Take him. I love it.
I love it that they have a whole thing about, we're going to put it up on the YouTube, right? The YouTube. There's like that one scene.
Yes. Also, this is 2009. Apparently, there's no internet in this town.
No, that's one of the jokes. It's dial-up.
Yeah. So that seems a little strange, but sure. Okay. You have to let some things slide. In these comedies, a lot of...
Well, you have your yokels. You have to have, like, make fun of the local yokels and what they put up with versus what New Yorkers have every day.
Yeah. There's almost like a Northern Exposure vibe, I think.
I loved Northern Exposure.
I did too. Ramon, the character of Ramon kind of reminds me of, like, a Northern Exposure vibe where, like, here's this character who holds various jobs in the town, and one is like he's working as a caterer, and then later Mary Steenburgen and Betty White take Sandra Bullock to a bar, and it turns out he's also working as like a male stripper.
It's like he's the one for the area.
The one, and like and of course the joke is right that Betty White, Gammy, has seen Ramon strip countless times, apparently. Because she's like, that's new. That's a new move. And like, there's kind of a little side, like passing shot of like Betty White dancing with Ramon on the stage. And I'm like, they really could have shown more of that. That would have been fine with
versus
me.
Sandra Bullock, who's completely playing someone who doesn't like it and doesn't enjoy it.
Yeah,
it would have been more fun to have somebody else.
Yeah. Have you? Yeah. By the way, I'm the Sandra Bullock in this situations. I hate
male strippers, and it's not.
No,
I don't
same.
judge people for what they do for a living, and if that's what you love, great.
Yes,
it makes me completely uncomfortable.
Yes.
I find
Same.
all of it. I've been to so many bachelorette parties that all of a sudden there's a knock on the door and a policeman walks in.
This happened to me.
And I'm the one that runs into the bathroom in the kitchen. And then they're like, someone's hiding out. I'm going to have to look for them. And I'm like,
it just makes them want you more.
It does.
Yes, this happened to me, Margo. I went to a bachelorette party and the stripper showed up and I was like, this is super awkward. Like, hands get sweaty. I'm like, I don't like being here. Literally hid behind a houseplant. Like, moved a houseplant in front of me so that I was like out of the, and it just made that stripper want me more. And he like came to get me. And I was like, this was not my bachelorette party, by the way, because I would like to think my friends wouldn't do this to me. But I was like, this is awful. And I also went to a bachelorette party that had Thunder Down Under. And I'm like, and that's slightly different because it's like on a stage, you know?
But it's still,
but it's awkward. It's
a lot of women yelling, like really loud. And like, it's just not for me. I don't find it comfortable. I don't find it sexy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm an animal rights person, so I wouldn't go to a rodeo, but you see me a cowboy kind of like walking with them chaps, and like, I'm like, ooh, that's like, way more. You know what I mean? It's just like, I mean, he's fully dressed, but it's like, it's very sexy to me. Whereas for somebody in a Speedo, you know, undulating to, you know, whatever, Can't Stop the Music or whatever. Thinking about Banksy, by the way. Hey, Banks. That's what they play in Australia every year.
That's right.
For New Year's. But anyway, I know. And I went to a strip club, and it was a bunch of us from work, and it was for someone's birthday. And I was like, the same thing. I'm just drinking watery drinks. And one of the girls went home with one of the strippers. And we were all wasted, but we're like, please don't do this. This is such a bad choice.
You're making bad choices.
Bad choices. And she was like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Next day, she came to work. I swear to God, she said, I might have gotten AIDS, but I don't care. She got crabs. And then she went to his house.
Oh, man.
And knocked on his, I know. And she was one of those people, like, no filter. She said everything.
Yes.
So we all were on this journey with her through this.
Man.
Anyway.
No, I went
Sorry for all the
No, you're fine. I went to a Thunder Down Under, and there was like a plant on the table that I was sitting at, and I just moved the plant in front of me. Like, I was like, this way, they can't see me or something. I was like, it's not my thing. But by the way, all the women around me seem to be having a really good time. So
yeah, good for you.
It is clearly something that other people enjoy. More power to you. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. I've also been to like a female strip club, and that one was also awkward. I was like one of the only women there. I went because I could drink for free, and I was with all my male friends.
I went to a book party at Scores.
Oh, yeah.
And it was the Mayflower Madam. Do you remember her?
Oh, yes.
It was her book party, and it was at Scores, and she was buying, for her friends, she was buying lap dances. She says, come on, try one of these. It's a hoot.
No.
All these Upper East Side ladies with the plastic surgery, with all these strippers with the plastic surgery. It was just this weird, and it was like me and my gay friend Ron, we were just sitting there like, you know, looking at it like, oh my God, look at this universe that like we were aliens or something and just landed.
Yeah, this was in Vegas in like 2000, maybe 2000. And I went to use the restroom, and the restroom was also their dressing room. And so they were all in there, and I was like, oh, sorry, I thought this was the restroom. And they're like, we won't bite, honey, unless you pay us. And I was like, oh dear. And like use the restroom and like come out and wash my hands. And they're getting dressed. They're doing coke. They're putting lotion all over themselves. I like wash my hands, and they're like, "Do you want some lotion?" I'm like, "Of course I do. I'm not a monster." So I take some of the lotion and put it on, and I came back to my table of male friends, and I was like, "I smell like a stripper." Just FYI. like I had glitter all over me. Like I was like, "This is banana." By the way, they were all very nice.
Yeah, I'm not judging anybody.
Yeah, no, there's no judgment here, and.
Sorry. We have listeners that are sex workers that are or do burlesque, or they do all kinds of stuff, various stages of clothing. We are not judging you.
No,
you do you, booze.
Yes,
I mean,
no, and they were so nice, and they all wanted to like give me lap dances, and I was like, of course you do. I look like Daria. Like there's like a sea of men and this one girl who looks like Daria. Of course they all want to dance for me. I'm harmless, right?
Of course.
Yeah, I get it. I didn't let them dance for me. I was like, no, thank you. No, I'm going to run now. Bye. It's just not my jam. All right. Thanks for joining our podcast about strip clubs.
Yeah, exactly. Strippers and strip clubs.
So after the strip club thing, there is this scene where they go to like elaborate lengths to set up the scene where like Andrew is getting naked. That's Ryan Reynolds' character. And Sandra Bullock is also getting naked at the same time. Like she's getting out of the shower. He is sweaty and for some reason getting naked out on the balcony.
And she didn't bring a towel with her into the shower?
Yeah, there's a lot of, and like the dog is in there and he's barking and there's like all this stuff. It's a lot to just get them.
He has headphones in.
Yeah.
So he can't hear her when she can't yell loud enough, and then she's covering just enough of her body to like cover her bits.
Yes.
And that was the whole thing. Like Sandra Bullock's naked, which Julia Roberts would never do.
Yeah. Also, like you said, banging. She looks
banging.
She looks,
I would too.
She looks real good. And so they set up this whole, like I said, elaborate lengths to have them like crash into each other and like fall on each other naked. And it's all very, very awkward. And there's also a scene where they kiss earlier, like everyone makes them kiss. And that scene is actually really interesting because the kiss starts out so awkward and then kind of turns into something else at the end. Mm-hmm. And I think the naked scene is a little bit like it's played for laughs, but it's also like, look how hot we are.
If you're going to get them and they're at their finest,
mm-hmm.
and I were the director, producer, I'd push for that too.
Sure.
I'd be like, you know what? This is predictable as shit. Let's just at least make sure.
At least let's see a little.
Let's see some skin.
Some almost nudity.
Yeah, they probably get a portion of the sales or whatever. They have like they have a cut of the back end, I would hope.
There's also back end.
Get it?
I don't get it. There's also this like side story that never gets resolved, by the way, I don't think, about Craig T. Nelson and his Craig T. Nelsonist as he wants Ryan Reynolds to take over the family businesses and he doesn't want to. And they have this argument. I don't think it's ever really resolved. And they're like going to bed that night and Ryan Reynolds on the floor. She's in the bed and she asks about his dad. And this is where they like share some personal stuff. And she shares the thing about the Rob bass, which results in them singing It Takes Two. And my favorite part, she talks about how she thinks Brian Dennehy is sexy. And I was like, girl, same.
Yup. You and I bonded over that.
Yes.
We both have had an old man crush on him.
Yes, Brian Dennehy is sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I shared it in the What a Creep group. And I think someone said something like, someone has to, or something like that. And I was like,
right.
I was like,
Victor,
I was like, there's more of us than you think, my friend. There's a lot of women out there who think Brian Dennehy was really sexy.
Well, you know, there's a competence to a man like him or he represents. Like he can drive the car, he can parallel park, he could fix stuff. He probably has a couple of jokes in his back pocket. You know, there's some kind of competency about him. Yeah.
I would 100% go to Lowe's with Brian Dennehy, and then after we got home, I would have sex with him. Absolutely.
Yes. He would load up the truck perfectly. Cheerfully, like doesn't make a big stink about it. Yeah.
I like the life you're describing. Now I'm daydreaming.
Yeah, that's what I daydream about now.
So you can see that Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock are starting to fall in love with each other. They're starting to care about each other. And like, there's little things like she starts to like care about how she looks in the morning. She's like, putting on lip balm and like
pinching her cheeks.
And
I have rosacea. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sakes. Really?
I'm like, I never have to do that.
Yeah, I never have to do that.
I am 100% the person though that puts on lip balm like all the time. Same. I can't help myself. But yeah, when a relationship first starts, I'm 100% the girl who wants to like sneak out of bed and put on lip balm and brush my hair and be like, oh, I totally
brush your teeth.
Yeah, I look totally beautiful in the morning. I'm totally perfect.
I smell great. I look great. My skin's soft. Yeah.
Yeah, let me rephrase that. Sonia in her 30s would do that. Sonia now, I doubt it.
Well, for Brian Dennehy though,
totally would. You're right. You're right.
I'd primp.
Thanks for calling me out. You're right. That's what good friends do.
Yep.
We also get this very awkward scene where his mom brings them breakfast in bed. Seems like a weird thing for a mom to do.
Yeah, my mother would never do that. and linger.
Because then the whole family starts coming in.
Yeah, they're all just hanging out. And I do like the fact that he has a boner. And he's like, it's morning. She goes, what do you mean morning? He's like, duh.
She's like, I'm not a dude. I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, everyone comes in. And that's when they're suggesting that they get married the next day. And this is when it's finally starting to hit him and Sandra Bullock that it's not just them that they're impacting, that his family is really excited about this wedding and that they really care about her and they're going to be hurt when it doesn't work out. And yeah, that's marriage is more than
this. Sorry.
No,
You're taking this movie way more seriously.
I totally did. I totally
did. I'm like, I kind of remember it, sort of. I don't remember Little John. I don't remember. I do remember. Okay, this is one thing where I was like, okay, you probably wouldn't do. There's a few things you wouldn't do now.
For sure.
And I would say Betty White, at one point, I did like Sandra Bullock on the bike.
Yes.
Like trying to ride away.
Yes.
And then she's like crashing in the woods. Like she does physical comedy really well.
She does.
And she lands upon Betty White. She's doing this Native American tropes of like some feathers in her hair. There's, stomping around and chanting and there's a fire. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, she says she's giving thanks to Mother Earth and she asks Sandra Bullock to join her. And the beat reminds Sandra Bullock of the song Get Low by Lil Jon. And that's the to the window, to the window, to the wall, to the wall.
I don't know that song.
Oh, and then, till the sweat drip down my balls.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Till all these bitches crawl.
Wow.
And then, like, Betty White is, like, joining in, and, she's Sandra Bullock. She's so adorable, everybody drink, and she is dancing, and that's when Ryan Reynolds shows up, and she's like, sorry, like, I was just feeling inspired or whatever, and he's like, by balls?
She should have done No Diggity. Like that video I sent you, that guy in the airport doing No Diggity.
I do love me some No Diggity. It is way better than, I think it's better than Get Low, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweaty balls is not something I want to really. And that also reminds me of Betty White when she was on Saturday Night Live and they had the muffin segment.
God. Okay, first of all, Betty White in this movie, like every scene Betty White is in,
she's fantastic.
She is fantastic, and it's the best scenes. And this is true. There was another movie that I was maybe going to suggest, which was Lake Placid. Did you ever see Lake Placid?
Yeah, that's not a good movie.
No, it's not a good movie. But she is really funny in it. Like, because I don't know. It was like one of the first instances I remember of Betty White doing the like dirty grandma kind of bit,
the
right?
Filthy mouth, the potty mouth person.
And she would continue to do stuff like that, but she's so good in this movie, and she's someone who's just so naturally funny, just so funny. And I was talking about her today with my friend Fred, and to be 99 and people are still saying like, she's gone too soon. Like, she lived to be 99 and we're still like, oh man.
It still feels like we're robbed, which tells you how great she was.
Yeah.
And I mean, she was on Mary Tyler Moore as Sue Ann. Is that was her name?
Yeah.
She had a cooking
Sue
show.
Ellen, I think.
Or Sue Ellen was Dallas.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, but first of all, she was like a man hungry. Like she was always flirting with Lou.
Yeah.
And she was always like just pulling shade on Mary Tyler Moore and just she's so fucking funny. And she takes like a B joke or a C joke and she makes it better.
Yeah.
Because she's Betty White. And she's just such a pleasure in the movie. And she's very funny. You know, they're going to get married. I love her when she has her in the wedding dress. She says, "Where are your boobs?"
She's like,
I was stacked.
It's like an Easter egg hunt.
But Sandra Bullock's wearing her dress. And all of a sudden they're getting married. And like, this is 3 days.
Yes.
And so that they're going to get married. And then Sandra Bullock, this is the second time she backs away and she's like, I can't. It's much better in sleep. And while you were sleeping.
Yes.
When she turns, she goes, "I love you," and they're like, "You love me?" Like she's telling like certain members of the family. Yes, so cute. But she drops it because she's like, "Look, it's not honest." And by the way, the federal agent is there too.
The dad. The dad, Craig T. Nelson. Damn you, Craig T. Nelson! Flies the immigration agent up to negotiate a deal that would get Ryan Reynolds off for this crime, and sent Sandra Bullock to Canada. And Ryan Reynolds, he's in love with her at this point, and he's doubling down. He's like, no, like the story is we started dating 6 months ago. I asked her to marry me and we're getting married. And it's Sandra Bullock who backs out and, you know, confesses everything, tells the family, like, I made him do this, you know, and she leaves. And there's this scene where then Betty White like fakes a heart attack, and I was like, I don't want that to happen. I don't even want to see that for pretend. But
that was not fun.
No, because we all love Betty White so much.
Right, we just lost her the day before, so I was a little like put off. But then I liked it when they were in the plane, and then she had them talking. You know, you two fight too much, and then she said, "I was just faking it. Let's go to the airport."
Yeah, I do love it where she's like, "I'm ready for the spirits to take me," and then she lays down and she's like, I guess they're not ready to take me yet. She sits up. I'm like, she's so Betty White with her like her timing is just chef's kiss. Like, always. By the way, the NPR host's Betty White muffin thing was going around the internet after she passed, and it so fucking funny.
I've got a big crusty muffin for you today.
I'm a child. The NPR ladies always made me laugh, and then Betty White on top. Like that whole episode of SNL is so funny because
really good.
Yeah, they got everybody to come out and like do different bits with Betty White, and because dude, blue state, red state, we all love Betty White. Like everyone loves Betty White. If you don't love Betty White, I question your character. Like there's something wrong with you. And I think
she loved animals.
Yeah, she's such a good person.
Yeah.
What a good person. Hulu recently like pushed the Golden Girls back front and center. So if you're looking for some Betty White, watch the Golden Girls. They were just in their 50s, by the way.
Yeah, they're in the 50s and 60s. Yeah, and Rose Nyland. It's one of my favorites. Back at St. Olaf.
In so many ways, I'm such a Rose.
You kind of are.
I am.
I'm a Dorothy.
I am 100. This is why we work so well. Like,
yes, it is.
I am 100%. Like, it's so funny to me because they are the age in the Golden Girls. I'm like, I think they might be the same age as the women in the Sex and the City reboot. I'm like, what a totally different show.
But you know what? The women in the Sex and the City reboot act older than the women Golden Girls.
Yeah. I think
Sarah Jessica Parker, you would think she was 80.
Yeah. They're totally like, back in my day. They were.
I can't walk. I can't go up my stairs without my little umbrella to use. Oh, don't get me started.
I'm not even watching. I'm just seeing clips.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, I'm just seeing clips and like reading what other people are saying. I was like, that's enough for me. Thank you very much. When they bring back Samantha, let me know, and then I'll
exactly.
So yeah, so she runs off, with the immigration agent, and she goes back to the office to pack her shit. And Ryan Reynolds is like telling his family, like, I actually really love her. And they're like, oh no, let's fix this. So he goes back to the office and then, tells her to shut up in front of everyone. I was like, that's a little problematic. And then they kiss and like somebody yells, like, show her who's boss. And I'm like,
yeah, that whole thing, that whole scene, like she's packing up her office to leave because she's being fired.
Yeah.
And she's trying to boss somebody into taking her shit. Like, take this box and drop it off here. I'm like, you're gone, for one thing.
Right.
But yeah, for him to call her out like that in front of everybody and like whooping it up, it's like, it's not great. It's problematic. I mean, it just wouldn't work now. It's not as good as While You Were Sleeping, which I think is a flawless movie.
Yeah. I love that movie. Maybe I'll rewatch that one tonight. I do love the reaction of all the women in the office, though, when they kiss. Like, every woman in the office basically melts. And I was like, that's about right.
Yeah.
That would probably happen.
Yeah.
And then there are some of the funny stuff that happens over the credits where they're finally being questioned about to get their visa, to get her visa. Damn it, Max.
Damn it, Max.
And just the questions they ask, what deodorant does he wear? And does she fart in front of him? And, all that stuff is pretty silly.
Did you ever see Green Card?
Yes. It played at my theater.
So you probably saw it like 100 times, right? Or
I saw parts of it. I saw it once and then saw parts of it 100 times. Yes.
It's Andy McDowell and the French guy.
Gerard
Depardieu. And he's a Frenchman that she's marrying just to keep this impossibly huge apartment in New York City.
It's kind of bullshit that she has to pretend to be married to get an apartment. You could sue for that shit, but that's okay.
Yeah. But they truly do. I mean, they do fall in love. Like, they get to know each other so well. And then, spoiler, he gets to the end and they're being interviewed and they ask him about her deodorant or her soap.
Yeah.
And he can't remember. Instead of saying, like, I don't know, I could barely read English. I don't know. I don't give a shit. He just goes, please don't arrest her. She didn't know what she was doing. And he completely folds like a house of cards. This whole movie is on it. Yeah.
By the way, that stuff is pretty dumb. As someone who was married for 10 years, you could have asked my husband, what soap does Sonia use? And he'd be like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
He's like, what day is it?
No.
I use all kinds of different soap.
Yeah.
I'm always buying something that stinks. They don't know.
That's what we do. Yeah, they don't care.
That's a weird question.
It's a very weird question, and it was a very weird one for him to fold on. It's like, but anyway.
Yeah, and
that's the end.
Yeah, and this is the same. Like, some of these questions, I'm wondering, what are the real questions? I should have Googled this before we recorded because I'm kind of dying to know what the actual questions are. I'm like, because the soap deodorant thing came up in this and in Green Card, I'm like, is that a legit question they ask? I'm like, should I be paying attention?
Yeah.
I'm like, actually, I could have probably answered that question for my ex. Because I did all the shopping, right? So, but did you like the movie? Clearly, I took it more seriously.
You remember way more than I do. Like, I'm like, oh my God, it's been an hour, really? I'm looking at the Wikipedia page. I'm like, there's really not that much. I liked it fine. I think it's cute. I think she looks great. He looks great. I love all the people in it.
Yeah.
I think they have great chemistry. I wish they would do something else together.
Absolutely. Because they have really good chemistry. Like I said, they were like built in a lab to make romantic comedies.
Yeah.
They could do another one, and I would
a caper.
Yes.
Or a heist.
Yeah.
I think they'd be great.
I would watch.
But yeah, I don't remember anything else after.
I don't think they're really in love though. Not like Bill Pullman and Keanu Reeves.
I don't think about them and think, wow, they have a great future together.
Yeah. Do you think do you think that couple stays together?
I don't. I think she's angry. I think one thing I'll say something I really appreciate about the movie is that she's a good 10 years older than him, but nobody brings that up, which is nice.
Yeah.
Like she's in her 40s.
Yeah. I think there's a 12-year age difference between Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock at the time. And 12 years. Yeah. No one brings it up, because honestly, that age difference, super normal when the roles are reversed.
Exactly.
If not bigger.
Exactly. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm glad no one brings it up.
She looks amazing.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't imagine them together. I don't picture them like having maybe they move to Toronto and go on to something else. I don't know.
But they never resolve this idea of like who's going to run Craig T. Nelson's business. It never comes up again. Like,
yeah. Is that what they're going to do?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So there are things where I was like, well, that's fine. I guess not everything needs to be spelled out for me. But do you remember when Sandra Bullock was dating Ryan Gosling?
Yeah, he was also much younger than her. And he was like 20, 21 or something.
Mm-hmm. I'm here for it. Mm-hmm.
I'm here for it.
Would do the same. Do you want to hear about the top 10 movies of 2009?
Yes, please.
Okay, number 10, The Hangover. Did you see it?
Oh, yeah.
I remember seeing it at the time and thinking it was funny. And now if I watched it, I don't think I would like it as much. I
saw it recently, maybe like a year ago. And like just the first 10 minutes in, I was like, oh, my God. Like, it's so much. It's just so weird how it had only been like 11 years, 12 years.
Yeah.
13 maybe, and things have changed so much.
Yeah. There's also Mike Tyson takes me out of things when he shows up. I'm like,
yeah,
I know that other people are fine with Mike Tyson. I'm just not one of those people. Number 9 is Angels and Demons.
What is that?
I think that's one of those Da Vinci Code movies.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, bad wig.
Yeah, I was not into those.
No.
They're not for me. Number 8, Sherlock Holmes.
Okay.
People, once again, that's another one that everyone seemed to really like. And I was like, nah, it wasn't for me. But I like Robert Downey Jr. very much.
I love Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. Number 7 is Twilight New Moon.
Oh, that's my favorite. I don't like those movies. Sorry.
I saw the first one and really actively disliked it and never saw any of the other ones. So number 6 was Up.
Oh, that movie, just the first 15 minutes
wrecked me in the theater.
It'll destroy you. If you need a good cry,
yep,
just watch the first 15 minutes of Up. If you need to get your feelings out.
I cried so hard in the first 15 minutes, I barely remember the rest of the movie.
Yeah. Ed Asner, he's gone too now.
Yeah. Number 5 was 2012. Did you see it? One of those catastrophe movies, you know.
Well, they were not right, were they?
No. No. Number 4, Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen.
I don't know what that is.
I have never seen a Transformer movie.
Sorry, give my cat some treats.
That's okay. Number 3 is Ice Age: Dawn of the Dinosaurs. I've
never saw it.
Nope. Number 2, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
I saw them.
Definitely saw that. And then number 1 was Avatar.
You know what? I never liked Avatar until there was that time from F This Movie.
Yes, me too.
For Patrick's birthday.
Same.
That's like, if you could see it with Patrick.
Yeah.
On Twitter when it's trending, I got it.
Yeah.
Because I never understood why people liked the movie before. I just could barely sit through it.
Same.
Yeah.
I saw it in the theater and I remember being blown away by the visual effects. But overall, the movie left me really cold. And I was like, I don't understand the love that this movie has. And then rewatched it for that online film festival. And I was like, oh, this movie is actually really earnest. It's wearing its heart on its sleeve. I was like, I actually appreciated it so much after watching it that time.
It's a wee movie. Like, you do need to see it with a group of people.
Yeah.
you kind of need to like it's just communal in that
Yes.
that aspect. Do you want to hear about some of the top songs?
Yes, I do.
Except for the Sweaty Balls one, that have obviously missed me in 2009. I don't know what else I was listening to. I have a pretty good idea. Green Day, Know Your Enemy.
Yeah.
Do you know your enemy? Okay.
I love Green Day.
I do too. Lady Gaga, Poker Face.
That song
awesome
is
song.
fucking catchy as hell.
The Black Eyed Peas, I Got a Feeling. Catchy as hell.
You could not get away from that song.
No. Okay, another one. Beyonce, Single Ladies.
I still love that song.
Fucking great song.
Yep.
Miley Cyrus, Party in the
Yeah,
USA.
that's a catchy. Oh my God, these are all bops, all of them.
All bops. And here's the last one. This is for Adam Risky, if he's still listening at this point. Jay-Z and Alicia Keys, Empire State of Mind.
That song too. Oh my gosh,
It's the best song. I know he always makes fun of it.
I still like that song, but
It's a great song.
It's totally that song that they play in movies and TV shows when they're going to show you New York, basically.
Right. I think, and I'm pretty choosy about this, I think it's my favorite song about New York.
That is high praise.
I'm a native, and I I'm from Billy Joel land, and I think this song's the best.
All right, I should put some thought into what my favorite song about San Francisco is.
Was it that Tony Bennett one?
I'm like, I guess. I don't know. I'll have to put some thought into it. I'll have to report back.
If you're going to San Francisco.
There's that one.
That's pretty good.
What else are you dorking out about, Margo?
I guess I'll say, because you and I were talking about this via the Facebook page for our What a Creep podcast, we were talking about things that made us happy, and I found a clip of Elton John on Soul Train.
Oh my gosh.
Singing Philadelphia Freedom. It's 1975, Elton John, and he's singing live to the tape. You know, he's singing live, and the dancers that are around him are so gorgeous and having so much fun, and he's just being magical. I've watched like a half a dozen times today already.
Oh my!
I love Soul Train. I love Elton John. So anyway, that's a clip that I had, and then Netflix Queer Eye.
Margo, my son, Calvin's bus is here. Can I call you right back?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
of course.
I'll be back in like 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, bye. So I obsessively watched the entire new season of Queer Eye, which I'm sure was no coincidence for them to drop it on New Year's Eve to help us all get in the mindset. And did you watch them all like I did?
I think I've seen them all at this point. They're in Austin, Texas. Yes. We had some tea about one of the women. I was like, ooh, in our Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense, actually, because I was a little bit like, something's off with her.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about her.
Yeah, they didn't. When she spilled her tea, I was like, this does not surprise me.
Yeah.
Not at all. I love Queer Eye. I love every season of Queer Eye, and this one is no exception. I super love it. I love that they put it out on New Year's Eve because it's like such a perfect time to watch something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, we've talked about Queer Eye new seasons before, and I've said this before. It is an empathy machine, Queer Eye.
It's like only for empaths. It's just like it soothes your brain.
Yes.
And it's so nice to live in a world where people can be different and still completely respect one another and love one another. I mean, it's like people say it's impossible, and it's not. It's very, very possible. It's like, just don't be a dick.
Yes.
Practice kindness. Like, take it. Right, Max?
Yeah, Max. Damn it, Max. There's an episode with a cowboy who runs like a Wagyu beef farm or whatever.
Yeah.
And he is like, he's conservative and Republican. He even says like, I'm trying to be your first Republican friend to them.
Right.
And like, I'm sure that he has never met anyone like these people. And he probably disagrees with them on just about everything. But he has a very curious mind, and he asks a lot of questions. And I think that's rad. And I was like, that's what everyone should be doing. I'm like, just ask some questions. Be curious.
But in a nice way, but just in a helpful way.
Yeah, don't be a dick about it. I mean, like, what's your deal? Like, he doesn't know what he doesn't know, basically.
Right.
And they have some really good conversations. And I think it's such a good show. It's so well done and telling all these different stories. And there is an episode that is about like a mother, it's a whole family, but it's about the mom in particular. She has an autistic son. She runs a nonprofit for special needs animals for children with special needs. And I was like, a
show that is genetically designed to tear apart Sonia. Like,
they created it in a lab to make me cry.
Yes. If anything says the Sonia Mansfield episode.
Yes.
With me too, though, because you know me, I love animals too. And I see the goats just kind of bleeding around. And the pigs, I love pigs.
Yeah.
And they're all just in their slop, just having a good time.
I tweeted out that this episode just made me bawl in the first 5 minutes. And someone's like, is that episode about you? Because I'm like, exactly. It really could be me. I don't run a special needs animal nonprofit, but I suspect Sonia in another life would absolutely do that.
You never know what life has in store for you.
Yeah, if there's other, we talk about different timelines similar to the Marvel universe. I suspect there's one with Sonia running a nonprofit for animals. That would 100% be me. But it's so good. And I love them so much. And I love how sweet they are to everyone. And they just want them to be the best versions of themselves. I just love it. It's pure joy.
It's pure joy. They're so lovely. They're so warm. They make such a big difference for people. And they're inspiring. Mm-hmm. And I just incredibly, I knew you would love it. And I totally loved it. I've had it on every night.
Yes. Since
it's been out, and it's great. Another thing that's been out, that's a reality show that's kind of a shit show, I think, but it's also super interesting, is, I don't know if we talked about this before, but it's Paramount Plus is doing Real World Los Angeles, but it's a reunion.
Oh, yeah. I'm not watching that, but
the last episode.
Yeah. What happened? Tell me.
So it's been out, there's 4 or 5 episodes out, and Tammy Roman she's an African-American woman. She was 23 years old when she was on the show. She was Muslim. And there was one other person of color, which was David, the quote-unquote comedian who never says anything funny ever. And in 93, when they did the show, he ripped her out of her bed. He dragged her by her blanket and was dragging her down a hallway. And it became a big deal because he was like the first person to get kicked off a reality show.
Yes.
And so here they are 27 years later, and they thought it's a great idea. Let's bring him back with everybody else. And everyone's older, and you'd think wiser.
Yes.
And Tammy's been on a couple reality shows since then. She was married to a basketball player. She's now married to a football player who's 17 years her junior. Good for her.
Whoa.
Yeah. And one night they're in the house. It's the last episode. And there's all these memes. And it's Tammy, Tami, Roman, Roman. You can find her, all these memes on Twitter and Instagram, where they do a thing during the day and everybody has fun. They come back and then they have a bowl of questions that they have to answer. And it's the way the producers try to get some, controversy. Yes. And so Tammy is she wears wigs. But at night she wears like a shower cap to protect her head.
Yeah.
And she's a constant smoker. So she's always at the doorway, leaning into the living room and like puffing smoke out, which is like me throughout my 20s. So I relate to this person so much. And I'm all about my hair. So she's said, all right, well, one of the women was there used to be a marshal for the LA Police Department, and Irene.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, she's Mexican-American. And she says, so what's it like now after Rodney King, but also after everything Black Lives Matter? And she kind of gives an answer like, well, I saw things and I didn't do anything about it because nobody did anything about it then, but I feel bad now, but I really respect the police. It's kind of like this.
Yeah. Non-answer.
Non-answer. And then a white guy says to Tammy, Glenn, he says, what happened a while ago, I was with a friend of mine and we went for pizza and he was black and the guy called him the N-word, but he didn't say the N-word. He said the N-word. And he did it over and over again. And then Tammy says, please don't use that word.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, they were calling me that when they called him that. And she said, no, they weren't. And he keeps saying it. And then another white person explains to him why he can't use that word. And he finally gets it when the nice white Beth says, right. Then Irene is all mad at him for using the word. So she jumps up and yells, what do you think it's like to be a N-word?
Yeah.
Tammy comes into the room. She has a cigarette dipping from her lip. And she says, points at her and says, you cannot use that word either because you are Latina. And then walks out of the room.
It's not Tammy's
job.
It's not her job to educate people. It's like,
And then the youngest one, who's 47 or 48, he was John the Virgin. He was the country singer.
The country singer, yes.
So he's now a preacher, and he lives in Alabama. He's never been married because he's saving himself. And we all kind of go, okay.
All right.
Yeah. He tells her, here I am, this country boy from Alabama. And you could see the look on her face like, are you fucking kidding me? And then he says, I live in a home with a lot of black colored kids, and I treat them like their own. And she's like, you can't use that word. It's
oh my gosh.
Fascinating. I mean, it's appalling. Yes, but it was fascinating. And then Tammy then goes on YouTube and does a whole recap of the show. And it turns out they were talking for 2 hours, and it was a total 2-hour shit show.
Yes.
That she had to manage. And I don't know what to tell you. It was just fascinating to watch. I mean, infuriating.
Yes.
But, people always make fun of our generation. They're so woke.
Right.
And not really.
No.
Why we have to be vigilant? Because not everybody gets the message.
I don't even understand.
I don't either.
It is.
He's from Philadelphia. It's not, there's no reason to not know things.
No. I don't understand that anyone thinks it's okay. I'm I would never think that it was okay for me to say it. No. What the fuck?
I mean, it's so hilarious. I mean, the memes are hilarious. I mean, and people are on her side, but it's just oh my God.
She's doing the Lord's work.
Absolutely. And she says that too. I don't know why, but her husband. So next week, I think, is the finale. And David, who was brought back, the one who sexually assaulted her, basically, because they never bring it up, but he took his pants off at one point and showed his dick.
Oh my God.
Back then. Anyway, he and Tammy get into it, and Tammy's husband shows up.
Ooh.
He's a former football player, and he's taking her home.
David better run.
So yeah, I'm going to be watching that.
Yeah. Did you watch the new crime scene on Netflix?
No. What's that?
It's the new. So they did the one that was the disappearance at the Cecil Hotel or whatever. I didn't even finish that one. I wasn't into it. But they did a second one, and it's the Times Square killer.
I was going to start it, but then I'm it's too late. It'd probably scare me. Is it scary?
It's creepy for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Times Square was very creepy in the 70s and 80s and 90s.
Yeah, and this is they do a really good rundown of what Times Square was like, what it turned into, what it's like now, and this Times Square killer, he was assaulting and murdering sex workers in Times Square, and he was also doing it in New Jersey, and there was no coordination between these two departments because that was not a thing in the late 70s, early 80s. And it's really well done. It's gruesome. It's hard to watch sometimes. It's the same. The director is Joe Berlinger, who also did Paradise Lost.
God, those movies fucked me up.
Those movies they're documentaries, and if you you haven't seen them, they're really great, but they're fucked. The case is fucked up.
You need like an hour of Soul Train videos to
Yes.
take it out of your system when you're
Yeah.
done.
That one is brutal.
Yeah.
And this one is pretty brutal too. It's hard to watch sometimes, but it is really interesting and a good time capsule of what I imagine Times Square was like back then. And it's just bananas now because you watch all these CSI shows and it's like everything's so computerized and, you know, you think like, well, I'll just put their fingerprint in the computer and it's going to tell you everything, you know, because that's what CSI makes you think everything is like. And it's like, no, that's not what it was. It's not what it was like then. It's not even like that now. It's not even like that now, but it's good. It's creepy though, for sure. It's like 3 parts.
My friend's husband is a defense attorney, or was, and he served in Jersey City. And he and the prosecution, like with some juries, they just wanted all this evidence to consider. Like they wanted all this, you know, DNA, blood, like everything. And like, it's just like, you can't get that from every crime scene.
Yes.
It's right. Like they want it handed to them.
Yes.
You know, this is what happened. We have a video of it here. I
read an article about this a couple years ago and it was like the CSI-ification of court or something. And yeah, people are like, well, where's the DNA? Where's the blood? Did you find a hair follicle? Did you, like, everyone's an expert now because we all watch these crime shows and it's having a huge impact. It's interesting. That would be a whole other separate documentary, but I thought this one was well done. I didn't like the first one, the Disappearance at Cecil Hotel. I didn't even start the second episode.
It's a hard one because you don't know what really happened.
Yeah, I think you might have told me that there was no resolution
closure.
And I was like, oh, hard pass.
Yeah, I have friends like that and they'll even say to me like, well, do they find out? I'm like, nah, it's a mystery. And usually that's frustrating for me too.
Yeah. If this was an episode of Unsolved Mysteries, by the way, I would totally watch the shit out of it. But for some reason,
you know, also because sometimes with Unsolved Mysteries they go, update, we found the motherfucker, here he is in handcuffs being taken away. And it's very satisfying. Yeah,
if this had been labeled like an unsolved mystery, I totally would have finished that series. But for some reason, because it's not resolved, I'm like, hard pass.
We all have limited time, Sonia.
Fact. Apparently not enough to keep me from watching every episode of the new season of Queer Eye in like record time and entertaining the idea of starting all over because I just want more of that in my world for 2022.
I wish that for you.
I wish that for everybody. More Queer Eye for everybody in the new year. Where can people find you on the internet, Margo?
You can find me at Brooklyn Fit Chick for Twitter and Instagram, and on the TikTok, I'm at Margo Donahue.
And if you like the sound of our voices, we also co-host a podcast called What a Creep, where we talk about creeps of the past and the present. And we end every episode with someone who is not a creep, so you don't end the episode feeling really depressed and shitty. It's real fun. I know it doesn't sound like fun. It is actually really fun.
Yeah.
So please listen. And if you like this show, you could go to Apple Podcasts and give us a review. That would be amazing. A good review. If you want to give a bad review, I'm surprised you listened this long, to be honest.
Did you listen to F This Movie?
Yes.
And when he talked about his 1-star review, they sound like mopey lefties.
They're like, well, they're not wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, gentlemen, read our reviews.
Yes, I said to myself, I got to leave a good review. I got to counteract that shit.
Yeah, I left them a review a long time ago. But yeah, some people can be real assholes, let's just say. That was hilarious. I laughed out loud. Their current episode about their favorite movies of the year is always gold. And I make
you have JB and Adam.
Yeah.
And Patrick. They're a great trio.
Well, basically I start writing things down of shit. These are things I need to watch now. So I get a ton of recommendations from that episode. It's like one of my favorite episodes that they do all year, along with James Bond episodes.
Mm-hmm. Or the Nick Cage.
John Travolta.
Retrospective.
Yes. Yeah. Always good. So if you could leave us a review, that'd be awesome. If you want some stickers or you have a request, we take requests. Please don't request Pump Up the Volume, Airheads, or Better Off Dead. They are not streaming. We're going to do them. I check every week. I promise.
Yeah. Check first if it's streaming on one of the major platforms, because we want to make it so that I have to see this movie right away then, and then you want to be able to check it out. So
absolutely. So email us at dorkingoutshow@gmail.com, and you can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. This was really fun. I am so glad that we got to talk about Betty White and that we talked about their proposal.
I wish I had something clever to say about Little John, but
to the window, to the window, to the wall, to the wall.
My muffin is nice and crispy.